Tonight, we've come across some shocking undercover video of an abortion doctor telling a pro-life activist who was posing as a potential patient that he would not help her baby if it survived the procedure. Now, listen to how the doctor answered that question about what happens if, in fact, the baby survives. Now, we blurred her face for privacy reasons.
You know, legally, we would be obligated to help it, to survive. But, it probably wouldn't. It's all in how vigorously you do things to help a fetus survive at this point.
Because I'm just so scared of having to be stuck with the responsibility. So would you make sure that it it doesn't
there's
survive?
Things you do. Obviously, you're here for a certain procedure, and if your pregnancy were, let's say, you went into labor, the membranes ruptured, and you delivered before we got to the termination part of the procedure here, then we would do things. We would not help it. Let's say we wouldn't intubate.
Okay.
Okay.
So you would make sure it wouldn't survive.
We wouldn't do any extra. It's like
to help it.
Yeah, it would be a person that would be a terminal person in the hospital. Let's say that had cancer. You wouldn't do any extra procedures to help that person survive.
Okay.
They had do not resuscitate orders.
Okay.
We would do the same things here.
Pretty unbelievable. When asked about how his disturbing comments, the doctor told the Washington Post that he considered the activists that recorded the footage, quote, terrorists. Here with reaction, Democratic strategist Julie Roginsky, Fox News contributor Jedediah Bila, basically saying he would murder that child.
You're not getting an argument out of me. Look, I'm pro-choice, but that's an inexcusable video, and then obviously if the baby were born alive, there's absolutely no excuse for what the doctor said.
As a pro-choice part, I hear from a lot of pro-choice people. Their argument usually is the government doesn't have a right to tell a woman what she can or cannot do with her body.
Right, but that's a baby.
Do you agree with that, though?
I do, but that's a baby that's already alive, so that's very different.
If you agree the government should not have the right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body, which you say you agree with, right?
Well, what I would basically say is not the government has the right. I think it's between a doctor and the patient.
Okay, so here's my
happens.
question. So 1 week before a woman is due to give birth, the government doesn't have a right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body.
Sean, if you want to have an abortion debate, look, here's the bottom.
No, because we got the Gosnell trial, we got the live video, the Liva video, we've got this instance. I'm asking you a question. Does the government, 1 week before a woman is due to give birth, that child is viable, does the government have a right to say that child has a right to live?
Then I will give you a scenario in the following sense.
No, answer this question first, Julie.
Sean, yes, if the baby is incredibly in pain, if the baby will be in tremendous pain if it is born, if the doctor says that the baby has...
Assuming everything's normal, does the government have a right to tell a woman that healthy child
I think it is between a doctor and the patient.
1 week before the birth of a child...
You're having a straw man debate with me right now.
No, it's not straw man.
It's a total straw man
In the light of the Gosnell trial, none of this is straw man.
Wait a second. Do not confuse the Gosnell trial with what's going on.
Excuse me. So 1 week before birth, you would support the right of a patient and a doctor to kill that baby.
Listen, Sean.
That is cold.
Do not confuse.
That is callous. No. That is murder. That's infanticide.
You're putting words in my mouth. Do not confuse the Gosnell trial and what happened with Dr. Gosnell, who's an abhorrent human being.
1 week before a due date, you give them the right.
The answer is that these are babies and they're entitled to constitutional protections.
Thank you.
These are living, at times breathing. Maybe they need a little bit of assistance because they're premature when they come out. But these are babies. These are living things. So you can't. What's really interesting to me in all of these videos is that they treat these babies like objects, like something that's no more alive than this piece of paper I'm holding or this pen. These are people, and no one is standing up for their rights at the end of the day. So yes, they're entitled to constitutional.
You know what? I'm pro-choice. I believe people have the right to keep and bear arms, a constitutional right. I'm pro-choice. I don't think parents should be forcing their kids into failed government schools. Don't people have a lot of choices before they have sex? They get in the back seat of a car, they go to a hotel, they take off every article of clothing one after another. They have sex and then they choose not to use birth control. A lot of choices leading up.
Or how about a child who chooses not to get raped by her father and nevertheless...
Rape and incest, separate issue.
Oh, no, it is a separate issue?
Absolutely.
Because to me, if you're pro-life and you think the person is alive, if you think the baby
rape and incest, because a woman that was raped didn't have the choice. I'm saying women that choose to have sex and not use birth control made a lot of choices.
If you believe that baby's alive at conception, then why would you say that baby has the right to be aborted
No,
if
I'm
it's a
saying,
product of rape and incest?
I make an
then you're not
allowance
really pro-life.
because of a nuanced position.
That's not nuanced. You think it's a life. You think it's a life, Sean.
Choice. The only people who don't have a choice in this equation are these babies. They are defenseless. They're completely defenseless.
What do you say in the case of rape and incest?
I make exceptions in the case of rape and incest personally, and in the case of the life of the mother, that's my personal view.
Then you're
I can't believe a week before a due date, I can't believe a week before a woman is due that you would allow a woman to kill that child.
And I can't believe that you're so hypocritical about this, that you think if the baby is alive at conception, no, excuse me, but if you think the baby's alive at conception, that you have no problem with aborting it if it's the product of rape and incest. Doesn't that baby deserve protection?
Because the difference is that woman had no choice.
So the baby has no protection then under your scenario.
No, but she would have to do it within the first 3 months of pregnancy.
People who are pro-choice and people who are pro-life on issues like this should be able to come together, and all of us call this an absolute atrocity. We're talking about babies that are born alive. We're talking about a doctor that is saying, if that baby is born alive, I'm not going to do everything
Barack
in my
Obama,
power,
interestingly,
which is illegal if he didn't do that.
He voted 3 times against the Born Alive Infant Protection Act that would have guaranteed medical assistance to children that lived after botched abortions.
Which is why he's been incredibly silent on Gosnell, which is why he's silent on these things.
But I got to ask why you're silent on the rape